Let me explain a little bit about the Creator Lab. Robin Raskin, we are partners with NAB to produce the Creator Lab. Third year in a row, grows every year. The idea is to look at new broadcast, new techniques, new people entering the field, and give them the encouragement, the knowledge that they need. Three parts to our area. The creator stage, where we talk about big picture, big ideas. The creator classroom, where you get news you can use and skills that you can apply to your life. And our wonderful exhibitors who make this all happen. After Gabe's presentation, which you do not want to miss, stick around. We have a creative mixer at 5 o'clock here in the room. Bad beer and bad wine for all of you, just for showing up, and a chance to get to know each other. So this is our last classroom session for the day, but maybe one of the most important as you continue on your. How many content creators like in the audience? How many are using AI as some part of the process? How many have played with generative AI, well, let Gabe talk about Sora and what happened. But we're at this real experimental stage, and the person I go to who taught me everything I know about Gen AI and video is standing right in front of you. Teaches at UCLA, works at Edelman, the PR agency as well. And how can I put it? He's like the voice of sanity in a very crazy video creation world. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Gabe Michael, who I know will be your friend by the end of this session. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Thanks so much. Hey, everybody. Great to meet you. As Robin said, I am Gabe Michael, and I am the SVP and Group Executive Producer of AI at Edelman. And that is a very long agency title, which basically means that they brought me in to bring AI tools to the enterprise and the agency space, figure out how to deploy them across our creative teams, and then teach our creative teams how to use them and implement them in creative production. There we go. So just a little bit about me. I've been a filmmaker for 20 years. I've worked in almost every form of production that there is. Came up in the creator space, worked with very big YouTube channels, have billions of views to my name. And I jumped in very early to AI. I saw a lot of the demos that were going out in like 2018, 2019. And I said that there's something here. And I just kind of naturally wanted to follow it. So throughout the course of COVID and some of the new image models that came out, I just became an avid fan of it and tried to figure out like how to use it in my workflows. But then over time, it slowly became more and more of a tool that I was using on a daily basis. I saw it for image generation very early on. And I know a lot of us probably experimented with Midjourney very early on. So that's kind of where I started. But then from there, I did this little contest for a company I just heard of. It was called Runway. And it was the Gen 48 contest. And I ended up being one of the winners of the first two Gen 48 contests. And so I said, well, maybe there's something here. Edelman kind of grabbed me up and said, will you teach us what you know? And so I've been, for the last 2 years, educating all of our creatives, but also creatives online and all across LinkedIn about AI and AI tool usage. So with every new technology, I firmly believe that you have to have a philosophy. And for generative AI, that is no different than any other recent advancement in tech. But there's a presumption about working with AI that you just put in a prompt, you get an output, and that's what people are scared of. But I like to think of working with AI as that there is no magic button. You think of it as a tool set. You think of it of how it fits into what you're creatively making, and then work around it. Find rights managed at Edelman. We do what's called rights managed production, meaning we're a real internal production company. We have to do things the right way, and so we have to find the way to work with these new tools legally. We have to find the way to be real producers and work with them. So we have to do this all at the same time of preparing for what's to come. If you don't know Cristobal Venezuela, he's the CEO of Runway. And he wrote this amazing essay a few years ago, or I guess last year, and it's about the exponentiality of the AI generative tools for both film and image models, but then also where product loops are. And what I came to discover over the last few years is you have to start thinking at the top of that curve of whether today that technology is where we want it to be, or if it holds up to TV quality. We have all seen throughout the news cycles how fast this technology is developing, and how fast we have to like, it's my full-time job to keep my eye on the ball on this, and I wake up with existential dread almost every single day because I don't know what the latest model is. Like today I was on a plane, I don't know what news came out. I haven't been following it, so this could all be outdated. I don't know, so I'm sorry if that's the case. But the fact is, and what I really took to his essay here was that we are the models are actually way more capable than we use them for. We're figuring out how to use the models. Nobody's programming these models. We're training them with data, but we have to catch up with product and with UI on top of the models. And just figuring that out has been a game changer in the way I perceive it, because as you'll see, using AI does not mean that it's automation. I get a lot of negative feedback online about, AI is slop. There's no creativity in it, right? Like, I'm sure we've all heard it or said it online or in person, right? But I think what people are generally against is automation. We don't want a computer telling our stories, right? I don't want that. I've tried it. I've done automated systems and they suck. They genuinely suck. But what I want is to be able to tell stories faster, to work with a partner that knows what I mean when I speak in the language of film or in the language of creativity, and then be able to make the changes that I need, and be able to make the changes that my clients need. And that's how I currently see AI. As I said, AI is not a magic button. In my process and in the process that we have come up with at Edelman, it is a complete workflow, very similar to what we've done with tools in the past. And a big problem and a big thing that we have to work through right now is figuring out what those limitations are and what the knowledge gap is in between them. Because I can figure out, because it's my full-time job, I can figure out how to do a process that you would do the traditional way on set, right? Thank God I have the 20 years experience being on set, because when I'm working through a scene, or if I'm trying to come up with coverage for a certain shot, I only know that because I've been a filmmaker for 20 years. I know how to, oh, we could actually probably cheat this angle by throwing in this other background like I did on this commercial a few years ago, right? So having that working knowledge has made me, and I think others that are kind of top in the space, it rise to the top. You don't have to read all this. This is just a fancy way of saying I look at AI in four buckets. AI is so big and it means so many things to so many different people. And what I found myself in the role of is kind of demystifying that. So I see it as like what, the LLM side, the chat GPTs, the Claudes of the world, we fit into productivity bucket, right? We're using that to write, we're using that for our everyday things. Single asset generation. You're generating a photo for a deck, right? You're just kind of generating something that is to be thrown away. Maybe you're just putting in a prompt and going with it. You're not really doing much to it. And that's where I think the majority of people stop with their knowledge and their use of Gen AI. And then as a tool set enhancement, our friends over there at Adobe have had AI in their software for years. Every company here has used a form of machine learning or technology throughout their process, right? So all of a sudden, people saying, "Oh, we can't use AI for anything." It's like, well, we've been using it. What you're talking about is generative AI, and what we're talking about, and what I specialize in, is what I'm calling now AI animation. Right? It's generative. It's using AI as an animator. It's not replacing film sets. It's not replacing traditional production, but it's a new form of animation. And the only difference is you can make things look photoreal, right? We're not doing Polar Express over here anymore. And you don't have to like look at this fancy chart or memorize it or anything, but this just goes to show this is my kind of vague general process for using AI at multiple touch points throughout my filmmaking process. So as you can see here, it's very similar to any animation process that's out there, but I'm using AI tools at different touch points using multiple AI tools and seeing, and any of these can be substituted for whatever your workflow is. And this is, I used this particular workflow this weekend to come up with a short form, quick short film, which I just finished. So bear with it if there's some technical difficulties. And my friends at NASA that were just on, this has nothing to do with your great work. The sarcasm here is really, really beyond that. So I'm gonna just take a minute. Hopefully you can hear it.
Good morning, CP. Steve's treating you.
Morning, Houston. It's big, white, and bumpy, just like your ass. You're looking good, though, Houston. Little cloudy over the Pacific. Did you get the photo?
Upload received.
Frame that one for the lobby.
Looking good, CP. See what else you can find in the sector.
Oh, wow. Look at that. A moon rock. That's 11,001 this week. Truly a banner day for science.
Upload received.
And there she is. That heap of space trash has to be the bear sheet.
Status report.
Total loss. But tardigrades are huffing the life support runoff and getting real rowdy real fast.
They're alive?
Alive is an understatement.
What do you see, CP?
I see a very large, very translucent reason why I should have negotiated a hazard pay clause in my contract.
Friendly?
I'm not sticking around to ask for a star sign.
Is it native? Forced mutation?
Hard to conduct a peer-reviewed study while the subject is trying to eat me. Oh man, there goes my ride home.
We need proof of life. You have to get that shot.
Working on it. Okay, got it. Houston, confirm upload?
Upload received. As the subject.
No further signs of life.
Understood.
So, about that ride home.
Hang tight, CP. We have other plans for you.
Thank you. Weekend, right? Obviously, it's not perfect. It generates in 720p right now. But we have models that are generating at native 1080p. And very soon, I have on very good authority that some of these models will be out there generating in full 4K very soon. They're obviously missing things that we wouldn't get from traditional production. The depth isn't there. The bit rate is not there. We can't do much with color. The sliding scale of it is pretty small. But we've come a long way in the 2 years that or 3 years since I've been using these tools. If I would have saw this when I first started, I would not have believed you how fast we can do this. So that said, I'm not going to dive into the very specifics of that short, but I do want to go through some of my Gen AI fundamentals. And some of this may be brand new to you guys. Some of this may be, if you've already been experimenting, you know this. So no worries. I'll try to get through it as fast as I can. But a prompt. We've all heard about prompting. We all prompt in some sort of fashion. But I like to think about a prompt a little bit differently, right? It's not typing something into a box and getting an outcome. Prompting for me is context and control. And I say this because if you really think about it, if you take a step back and you look at when you're working with Adobe, if you're working with an editor or any digital tool, what are you doing when you're pushing your button, when you're hitting cut? You're sending a signal to tell the machine that you want something to be done at that same time. And that's exactly what we're doing with prompting. But what we haven't had in the starting out was control. And that is what I call it's MS-DOS before Windows. Before there was a visual control for us to be able to generate these things, to come up with the exact sort of scenes that we want with Gen AI. The only way to do that was through prompting and text prompting, right? But now we can work in full workflows. We can figure out the ways and almost build in real time the software to do very real processes that we want to do, whether it's to go from the top down of story to video creation, or if we want to just say, I want to segment out all the backgrounds from this particular set of images. Through most of like our friends over there at FreePick, through Runway and some of the other aggregators, the UI is becoming extremely important to tell this story and to get that type of control that you can use. So when we're thinking about prompting, there's what we think of right over here. It's called natural language prompting, right? It's what we do. We speak to it. We give it the direction that we want, as if we're speaking to an employee or somebody that's working for us. So to get like a cinematic scene, this may be a way that you prompt. But then there's also, because it's computer language, you can take the same thing and you can put it into a JSON prompt and time out exact shots that you want to do. And this now, which is a couple months old, this JSON prompting technique is now getting outdated because we're having controls put on our UI now. So you may not have to ever prompt in JSON. But all that leads to the very first step in the filmmaking process is text to image. And this is the foundation where everything else for your project comes from. That video that you just watched, the space trash, as I call it, that was only made from now. It was Seed Dance for the video model, and 3 images that I generated. Before, as you'll see in the process, I had to generate a shot for every angle. But now, just by giving it that little bit of context, it understands a little bit more what that world is. But it all starts here in the image. And like I said, this is the starting point for all things with AI production. From one image and one prompt, these are 2 things of control: prompt plus an image. I can generate full coverage from a scene in minutes. Whether I'm going to use every shot I created here, that's up to me as the director. I get to pick and choose. I could give it specific shots to do all at once in a batch if I wanted to, or I could go and use that starting image and try to do it image by image. But no matter what I'm doing, I'm coming up with my storyboard and my kind of shot list as I go. And there's this capability, which is the next step, which is what we're doing with like Nano Banana or Nano Banana Pro. If you guys have played around with it, is we're doing image to image. So I start with my sketch here of my little Zorp friend, and I can fully bring this sketch to a fully rendered picture in seconds, right? This is only one of the capabilities for image to image. We can now live within this type of scene here, and I could put this image into my generator and say, show me the extreme close-up of the woman, but change her eyes to blue, whatever I wanted to change it for. I can do that, and I can do it in rapid iteration. I've been working a lot with character sheets, just like animation. I've made one of this really extremely handsome wizard that's right here, and my robot character, as you see. For the short that you just saw, it was this robot character, and then one reference image of what I want the background to look like, and then I just reimagined the rest as I went. But putting these 2 images together and multiple characters, and a simple prompt of, I just kind of want to see, I was in Seoul, Korea in December. I want to see what these characters can do. And they're doing hijinks throughout Seoul. And in just a few seconds with those 2 character sheets, I got a full vacation out of me and my robot having fun, right? Is it pixel perfect in every single one? No, but I could re-roll. I could give it I could reiterate on what those scenes are. Make sure that that he's holding the ball if that's what I wanted to in that back photo there. But I have so much more control than I used to. Now moving into video, text to video is just like text to image. You're putting a prompt in, you're getting an output. And we can get some pretty damn good images that come out. But the problem with this technique is that it's all B-roll. There, you can't, with just text to video, you can't do consistency across the scene. So I could get one shot that I wanted, and I could do a prompt of a man wearing a blue baseball hat. And in one video, it would come out looking like me, and the next one would come out looking like you. But we fixed that through image to video. And within image to video, I do that techniques of coming up with all my images or my storyboards first. And then I can bring it to life through a simple text within my generator. And for this one, the wizard has a profound statement.
This meeting should have been an email.
So that's one shot, right? It's not a full movie, it's one shot. So it's me, job as the creator, to continue that shot, to go to the next scene. But I'm still acting as the director, picking what's happening and giving direction to it in every single shot and in every single scene. Now, there's this technique that's called start frame and end frame, which if you're familiar with animation, it's basically interpolation or tweening. You're showing the AI model where you want it to start, the scene to start, and then you're giving it the image where you want it to end. And your text prompt or control fills in the middle. So for this one, it was just zoom past the man to the clock. And I can get a shot that's actually pretty hard to pull off in real life. Is the end clock there perfect or congruent to another one? No, I could have fixed that if I wanted to spend the time on it, but I wanted to get through the presentation rather than fix that. And then this is a technique I did not think I would be using a lot, but now with the later models that are coming out, I'm doing what's called elemental generation, meaning I'm bringing my character sheet, images of my characters here, a background image, and I'm being very specific with what my prompt is here. I want, for this particular scene, let's see. I wanted all these characters to be hiding on a roof from this monster, but this was all one text prompt, but being very specific with my control. I want this character to be seen. I want this character to do this, and it can go on from there. And with as you saw in that short film, I basically referenced the one image of the robot on the bike, his character sheet, and an image of the moon background, the look that I wanted it to be. And I used that and then just created my shot list and went and created that entire short film just from those three images and then prompting across. So then this is where it starts to get really interesting, is video to video. And it's just what it sounds like. You can use a pre-recorded video, dress a scene, by creating a still image, as I did here. This top image here is me in my office. There, I kind of redressed it with Nano Banana, and then I put those two elements together. This, which you'll see here in a second, the image of me spinning around in my chair, and then that image, and it kind of brings me to life. Okay, here I am at the office, just getting ready to pack it in for the holidays. Let's see what this clip turns out to be. Ooh, that was dizzying. So a little uncanny, right? And this was years ago. This was in December when I made this. So this is, don't even look at it. It's pretty much garbage at this point. But if you look at it, it looks, good right at the bat, but it's still a little uncanny with this particular model. This was Kling 01, which, since there's been numerous versions, and C-Dance is now amazing and you can do it. But basically we can now take either a real life character, a 3D model. I could basically choreograph a full scene, a fight scene in 3D, and use one image as the kind of texture with it, and bring the entire scene to life with just those few elements. And then the other part of this is performance capture. right? We've been doing this with tools for years. Adobe Animator had very similar technology for a long time, but essentially this one focuses on the performance. And I'm obviously an amazing actor, as you'll see in a minute here, but this entire thing was performed by me sitting in my chair in my office, and animated based on that performance and that image capture. So why was 6 afraid of 7? Well, because 7, 8, 9. I guess that's not the same as 6, 7 now, is it? If you have kids, you understand. So you get the picture. You can bring yourself to life. You can actually hire a real actor, put them in any character that you want, and bring a performance to it. That was not drama or award-winning performance in any means, but it shows what it's capable of. Right now, a lot of the images are now, we can now do it at 4K. As I said a while ago, video is more at 720p or now 1080p, soon to be 4K native, but upscaling is part of the process. But there's two kinds of upscaling that is important to know. There's upscaling in the form of just taking the resolution of 720p, bumping it up to 1080 or 4K, which is what we've been doing, which causes a lot of artifacts. But then there's what's called creative upscaling, where basically you give it a final little push over the edge creatively, and it kind of takes like another pass at it. So that's where I think upscaling is going. But it's becoming less and less as part of the process, as it's built into some of these image generators and native models as we go. AI sound, you guys have probably heard a ton of AI voiceovers before, but we can now get into directing with it. We can give it actual directing notes, as you see here on the left, but we can also do like a motion transfer similar to what I was doing, but a speech transfer. If I wanted to change my voice, I could do the voice acting and put a character on, and it skins it and goes across. And again, all of this comes down to workflow. There are many, many ways to work within Gen AI, and it all comes down to what you're trying to do, who your budget is, or what your budget is, what specificities you're looking for. Like for our agency, for Edelman, we have very specific terms that we have to do, specific models that we can use. But for my my individual creator side, I can use all kinds of models, all kinds of surface. I'm a creative partner with FreePick, with Runway, with a bunch of these amazing companies, and they all work kind of the same, but also they're all figuring out interesting ways to create their UI around the capabilities of these models. So just think of it as systems of control. And that brings us to the question of the day. AI models, what's the best one? Easy, it's CDance right now. But that's just today. VO4 is going to come out soon. Google's probably going to blow us away with that. I like to think of, you can keep up with this. You can try out different models for whatever you use, but I don't think that this is the story anymore. This is like saying, what is your film stock that you're using? It's only part of the story, right? All the models are capable of things, and they're all coming so close together. It just can come down to accessibility and preference. But what I do with almost not every project, but every shot, just like I would like audition an actor, or if I'm filming on set, I bring somebody in to just audition and make sure it looks good. I audition a model. And this is just a test that I did when I was in Korea. One simple prompt of a fluffy monster walks through the town. And as you'll see here, I'm testing multiple different models and getting a lot of different outputs, but these are all from the same prompt, and they're all from the same starting image. So the monster was hallucinated. Oh, rest in peace, Sora. Sora's no longer with us, if you've heard. And VO3. So you kind of get the picture here. You're experimenting. You have to, if you're doing a project with AI, you have to make sure that you take the time and experiment and figure out what models that you want to use. But that's not the whole story. So as you see here, There's many different ways and touch points to bring AI in. It is not all or nothing. And I actually love creating a broader process. And I don't think that we're, using these tools is going to put all of us out of work. But what I do think is going to happen is that you are going to implement these things into your process more and more as time goes on. So lastly, looking forward, the next step in this is integrating general world models or a full movable 3D environment into our tech stack here. And at that point, I predict that we're going to be coming in with a character sheet, like you saw of me, a full world or scene that you've fully generated in 3D that you've controlled and designed, and be able to use text controls and other controls to be able to tell whatever story that you want to tell. And that's it for me today. Thank you guys. I'm hosting I'm going to put together some cohorts. So if you guys want to learn more or just contact me, you can scan it off here. So yeah. Thank you. Do we have time?
Yeah, we have like 4 minutes, 3 minutes. A question.
Sir.
What is the best model for iterations?
I personally like Nano Banana Pro and Nano Banana. But there's so many different models that you can use. But C Dance is good, but I prefer Nano Banana. They've nailed the consistency a little bit. Yes, thank you.
You were talking about creative upscaling earlier.
Yeah.
Can you go into a little bit more detail on what that looks like?
Yeah, have you heard of Magnific?
I have not.
Okay, so Magnific is a creative upscaler. So it'll basically take your image and do another pass on it. So let's say we take whatever one of the images that I put up there. I would run it through Magnific, and it basically gives it another high fidelity pass, and it just adds more texture and details because it doesn't have to worry about the generation part. And now we're moving to that same concept with video, where I generate, let's say, even if it's at 720p here, and it's just like I want to add just a little more texture to it or bring it to life. It'll then give it that kind of last final touch fidelity. And video upscaling is becoming more and more, creative upscaling is becoming a little bit more prevalent.
Got another one?
Yeah, I was wondering, what's your biggest pain point in your current workflow, or the biggest friction point you find you have?
It really depends on the project, and that's the hard thing to define, because it's like, well, what model is best for animation? It's like, well, what style are we doing? I don't know. I have to try it. So there's a lot of experimentation. And I think that not saving time in a production or not thinking about that up front is probably the biggest pain point, because once you get your hands on it, you generate a few clips, you know what the models can do. And then you kind of you're like, okay, now we kind of know what world we're living in. There was this one project I did, it was called Gym Rats. And I made a choice early on to make them be like rats with black eyes instead of Pixar, human-like eyes. And that was the wrong choice, because I got through the first few generations, okay, cool, they look good. And then as I got deep into the project and already made that choice, it wanted to turn everything into Disney eyes for some reason. So I should have experimented with that a little bit further before making that choice. But sometimes you just don't know.
Any last
I mean, that's always the case. Yes.
questions?
Any final questions? Okay.
Okay,
Well,
so
thank you all.
everybody's joining the cohort wait list. Gabe,
Yes.
thank you so much for
Yes,
sharing
thank you, Robin.
amazing wisdom. Thank
you all.
you.